On today's Just Baseball show, we're flying around the headlines from the weekend. Jose Alvarado, what's going on with you, man? Why can't you pitch in the postseason? Brandon Hyde, I'm sorry that this happened to you. Are the Orioles going to right the ship? I'm not sure about that. We fly around some other guys. Mick Abel made his big league debut, and it was awesome. Zebby Matthews is back in the show. So is Matt Shaw. Dalton Rushing made his debut later last week. We got to talk about Rushing and just the vibe that he has.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, Chris Taylor's time in Dodger Blue is done a couple days after Austin Barnes' time in Dodger Blue is done. So all of that coming up on the Just Baseball show. As always, it is presented by the fine folks at BetMGM. Today is Tuesday, May 20th. Jack and Aram. How you doing, boss? You all right?
Doing good, doing good. I'm glad to see Matt Shaw back up. Our rookie of the year pick is alive
Alive.
again in the mid off that is the National League rookie of the year race to a degree. Just because not that the players are not great, it's just the top candidates got called up late. The guys that were up there from the start of the season were not doing great,
Yeah.
and it's anybody's race. It's gonna be fun to keep up with as the year progresses.
It's a toss up, and I will say maybe that's why we haven't seen Bubba Chandler debut yet. They're
100%.
terrified. They're
They're so jaded.
absolutely terrified
We
that
we
like
we
Bubba
talked
just
about that the other episode because Peter was like, "Can you explain the PPI situation for the listeners?" Just like again, this time around, because I think Drake Baldwin might actually get the Braves a pick, which is
yeah.
crazy if they play him enough. But yeah, the Pirates must be so jaded from the Skeens thing because if you didn't hear that part of the episode, basically you can get a prospect. There's a prospect promotion incentive if you bring your player up before a certain date or have them on the opening day roster and they win rookie of the year, you get a bonus draft pick.
If they're
But
awarded a full year of service time, I think that date is like 3 weeks into the season. It's
yeah,
187 days on the service calendar. I think you got to get to like 165 days or something,
yeah,
and that's how you get the full year. If a prospect is up so they can earn a full year of major league service and they're top two in rookie of the year
yes.
voting.
And you get rewarded for that. But
Yeah.
then the flip side is if you bring that player up after the deadline and then he ends up winning rookie of the year, then he gets the full year service time and you don't get a pick.
Yeah.
That's what happened with Paul Skeens last year. The Pirates just a masterclass there. So they're definitely petrified of that happening again. And that's why I don't think we see Bubba for another couple weeks because they're going to really make sure that he has no shot at winning this thing.
Which is so backwards and terrible. But you know what? We move. Is Augustin Ramirez still the odds on favorite for National League Rookie of the Year?
Is MGM have him as the favorite now?
He might be the favorite. It's just funny because it's such a toss up in the National League. And then in the American League, Jacob Wilson should be like minus 10 billion.
Well, considering it was supposed to be like Jacob Wilson versus Christian Campbell, right? Like who's going to win it? And I think since you and I had that conversation, I think Christian Campbell
It
has
is
like
0 for the month.
it's rough. If you go since the start of the month, last 11 games for Christian Campbell, he's 4 for 47 with 15 strikeouts. That's 085, 104, 149. That's a 253 OPS in his last 11 games. And if you go even back to like the 15th, so his last 23 games, his last 102 plate appearances, he's slashing 174, 255, 283. It's a 538 OPS with a 30% strikeout rate. He's not seeing fastballs and advantage counts nearly as much. Colby Olson actually was talking about that. And, we're seeing pitchers adjust to him. And this was some of the concern that I did have is that there's a game plan against Christian Campbell with the erratic nature of his swing that if you execute, he can find himself in trouble and he's going to have to adjust. And pitchers have been executing. There's been a clear game plan, and he's hit a bit of a wall. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can adjust back.
Ouch. Also, by the way, I just Googled this. Jacob Wilson is not eligible to earn the A's a pick via the PPI because he accrued too many days of major league service last year.
Oh,
So, like opening day shortstop Jacob Wilson going to win Rookie of the Year, but he played too much and he was hurt. He accrued too much major league service time
that's
last year for
that
the A's that it
sucks.
cost him a pick.
That sucks. And Augustine is tied with Luis. Or no, now it's kind of oh my gosh, it's just like it's a cluster. According to BetMGM, it's plus 400 Drake Baldwin, plus 450 AJ Smith Shaver, plus 550 Luis Angel Acuna, plus 600 Augustine Ramirez, and plus 550 Hey Sung Kim.
Hess Sung.
Heston Kim. Okay, I was close. I was close.
Hessun Kim. So let me get this right. If Baldwin and AJ finish 1 and 2 in Rookie of the Year voting, actually no, Smith Shawver, he would have accrued way too
He's
much
too
service
much
time.
service time. But Baldwin can get them a pick. And
Baldwin
I
could
mean,
get him a
I don't
pick.
know how they're going to keep him in the lineup. We've talked about that, but like Baldwin, he's too good to not be in that lineup all the time. We've had this conversation like time and time again, but he keeps doing better. Like
I know.
it's becoming more pressing of a conversation now. And I'm very eager and fascinated to see how they maneuver this because do you know what Drake Baldwin's WRC plus is? Have you checked recently?
I haven't. I would assume, like, I know he's been swinging it well. I would assume like 115 after a slow start.
172.
No way. He
He's
started
slashing.
very slowly. Like the first 2 weeks of the season, he was not very good. He got good when Murphy came back.
Yep. Yep. And he was getting BABIP'd. He was getting screwed. Now it's evening out. He's slashing 357, 400, 583. He's already accumulated 1.4 F4 in 29 games. And he's only striking out 16% of the time. We had
Dude.
him as a top 20 prospect. He was 17th overall. And I mean, if I were to update the list right now, he's top five probably because the defense is good too.
Dude. Yeah,
So
in May, Drake Baldwin has 17 hits in 12 games in May. For those of you keeping score at home, that's a 531 batting average with 3 homers and 2 doubles in 12 games.
so what like Acuna's about to come back.
Yeah.
Do you is Baldwin so good that you put Ozuna in a corner outfield spot and pray?
No. No. I don't think so.
How do you keep him in the lineup then?
I think they would run Baldwin out in left field before they run Ozuna out in left field.
Would you run Baldwin out there before Ozuna?
Absolutely. I mean, William Contreras again allegedly only played 1 game in left field. Felt like he
I s-
played 30.
I saw a reply. Somebody else had the Mandela effect that we had too,
Well,
where
somebody tweeted at us and said like
yes,
this is the one they were talking about. It's I couldn't believe it.
yeah. So I'm glad we weren't the only ones that were just totally shocked by that. But yeah, like at what point do you trot maybe a Drake Baldwin out there because it's crazy. Like Sean Murphy played twice last week,
Yeah,
and he's got a 134 WRC plus himself.
I know.
I, they've got to be. I would love to be a fly in the wall in these conversations that they must be having because I don't really know what you would do, but
I'm just thinking about Snit sitting there at his desk, like in his office, and you got Anthopoulos sitting on the couch in the corner of the office, and Snit's just looking at him, shaking his head. Kid's got to play.
kids got to
Just
play.
kid's got to play.
I like Verdugo in the other corner. Like it's Verdugo and Eli White until Acuna comes back. Like
Yeah.
Eli White's swinging it better, so he'd probably get the priority, I guess, right now. But like, dude, I'd like to see what a Drake Baldwin can do.
Also hilarious what the shortstop situation has turned into in Atlanta. Like just nuts that it's Nick Allen and Orlando Arcia is just a full on bench piece right now.
It's amazing that they found a clone of Orlando Arcia essentially, but just a guy that might be just doing it a little bit better
And
right
just
now.
shorter. Like Nick Allen might be
Shorter,
5'5".
yeah, and he's been good. Like it's crazy as it sounds, he's not hitting well, but the defense is as advertised, and he's been accumulating WAR, and that's all they really want out of the shortstop position. It's just so funny to me. It's like you let Dansby walk, and it's like, all right, well, we're just going to punt the shortstop position for the foreseeable future now. We
Yeah.
don't care. The rest of the team's loaded. We just need a defender there. I would love to hear Anthopoulos elaborate, and I think he's brilliant, but I would love to hear him elaborate on their shortstop philosophy.
Yeah, and like the Astros, it made sense because you had Jeremy Pena, and you thought, okay, like worst case scenario, he's going to defend, and that's it. But left field and shortstop for Atlanta, they're just waving the white flag on two positions at this
For
point.
years now.
For years, and they tried Profar, and obviously he got dinged, but that sucks. It is just really interesting that maybe the best lineup in baseball just decided to punt two positions.
Yep. Yep. You think about like how good that lineup could be. It could be right up there with it already is, but like it could overtake the Dodgers as the best if like
Yeah,
they just put someone who wasn't a 600 OPS at shortstop.
yeah. I think there's another lineup nipping at the heels of the LA Dodgers right now and better than the Atlanta Braves. I just got the lineup, and you're hearing this on Tuesday, but I just got the lineup. I just put it in the scorebook for the Cubs in Miami against the Marlins. Matt Shaw was recalled, right, on Monday. Moises Ballesteros is DHing today. So I'm just going to read you this lineup with a little nugget about each guy. Pete Crow Armstrong, do you need a nugget? He's second in Major League Baseball in F4. Kyle Tucker has an 897 OPS in 47 games. He's walked 33 times in 47 games. Seiya Suzuki has 39 ribbies in 43 games. He's hitting third. Michael Busch is hitting fourth. He's got an 818 OPS. Dansby Swanson's hitting fifth. He's got a 787
He's
OPS.
slugging, dude.
He's got 10 homers so far this year. Nico Horner's punching 8.5% of the time. He's got 10 bags. He's hitting sixth and playing second. Seven inning DH is Moises Ballesteros. He started slowly in his major league career, but this guy was hitting 368 through 34 games in AAA. Miguel Amaya is hitting eighth and doing the catching. Amaya is hitting 274 with a 780 OPS. And it's an off day for Carson Kelly. Like Amaya / Kelly, whoever you want. And then the 9 hitting third baseman is Matt Shaw, who had an OPS over 900 in AAA. So again, PCA, Tucker, Seiya, Busch, Dansby, Horner, Ballesteros, Amaya, Shaw. That's a disgusting lineup.
It's ridiculous. And it's particularly ridiculous because you could say, oh, well, the young guys, though, like, what are you going to get out of Ballesteros and Shaw? Well, if you don't get much out of Ballesteros, you got Ian Happ coming back. And Ian Happ has been, you know exactly what you're getting from Ian Happ every year, which
you're getting a 125 WRC plus in what, a 4-win season every single year.
Three, at least like three and change. There was a stretch where he was like 2.5 every year. Now I think it's closer to 3 and change. And now I think he pushed to 4 last year.
I've got it pulled up right here. Ian Happ, the last, let's go 4 years. Let's go 4 years. 122 WRC plus, 3.7 WAR. 120 WRC plus, 3.4 WAR. 122 WRC plus, 3.6 WAR. So he's giving you a 120.
You know what you're getting.
You know exactly what you're getting.
It's limiting to a degree when that's your like maybe your second best hitter, which felt like there were stretches where he kind of was.
Sure.
But when that guy's like your 4th or 5th best hitter, holy crap, you've got a really sound lineup. And then Shaw is a guy that, like, you look at what they've been getting or not been getting at third base. Now you can hopefully get excited about what he is going to be coming back with in terms of the adjustments that he's made in AAA and just kind of getting going again. And just, again, we talked about it. He didn't have a regular spring training. So being able to just ease into things, work on some things, get himself feeling right, and then join the team while he's hot is the perfect way to come back here. And his last 10 games, he's hitting in AAA. He was hitting 316, 422, 816. And in the last 3 games, he had 4 homers. So the home run stroke was back, which was the interesting thing because the quality of contact wasn't totally there in his big league stint. And it's clearly there now. In those 10 games, he walked 6 times, struck out 4 times. So just seeing him really get back to being Matt Shaw has to be exciting. We'll see if he can apply that once again at the big league level. I'd like to see him, more comfortably pull the ball a bit more, but he's just a guy that also can go the other ways with so much authority that it might not matter. That's your 8, 9 hitter, a guy that could be the rookie of the year still, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty good spot.
It's a great spot. PCA, by the way, we just want to spend some time on him this weekend. I saw Mully, I think Mike Mulligan is, I think his name, the morning host on 670 The Score, and he made the case on Monday morning that Pete Crow Armstrong is the best athlete in the city of Chicago right now. Like, he's more exciting than Caleb Williams. He's more exciting than Connor Bedard. He's more exciting than Kobe White. Like, Bedard's
more
tough.
Than Connor Bedard. I don't know.
I don't watch hockey, so I have no idea if that's a fair shout. But I mean, right now he's playing like it. The entire city has PCA fever.
Yeah, I mean, because he doesn't even have like a diving catch this year because he
gets to everything.
So outrageous. He's catching them in stride, but it's the offense that really, like, we knew he was going to defend. But to see the 150 WRC plus is crazy. Like, he by WRC plus has been better than Kyle Tucker, who I think is an MVP candidate, right? So
yeah,
that's the fun part of this. I also think just what Kyle Tucker has done for this lineup, just adding another, like, a player in there that you fear, because there was a lot of good hitters, and when we talked about it with the Cubs, it's like, who's the best hitter of this bunch? And there
Yeah.
just wasn't that clear cut star bat. And now, of course, you don't really calculate for PCA leveling up that way on his own, but I also think Kyle Tucker just being in the lineup has got to be super helpful as well, where you have that clear cut, just superstar bat that's feared. And then everybody else really settles into this complementary role. But I also just think naturally you have a Michael Busch who in his third season here is just really settling in and getting comfortable. You have just a Carson Kelly who I just think maybe just needed to get home. The Chicago guy that just I think I'm sure made some swing adjustments and things like that, but just seems to be feeling good. And then again, a Dansby Swanson, where when he's not your second best hitter or third best hitter, and he's your fifth or sixth, and he's defending at an elite clip, all of a sudden, this lineup just looks so stretched out, and you
Yeah.
don't really get a break. And then the quote unquote break are guys that give you good ABs. Like
Yeah.
Moises Ballesteros doesn't punch. He hasn't punched out yet.
He
I don't
hasn't
know he's
punched
any
out.
great, but he hasn't
14
punched
plate
out yet.
appearances in. He hasn't struck out, and in the minor leagues, he was K'ing at a 10.5% clip.
Nico Horner's a grind of an at bat every single time. And it's the same thing with even Matt Shaw. Like he wasn't striking out a ton. So the bottom of the order is going to wear you out too. This is a lineup that even when they're not putting up runs, they're wearing you out.
Yeah, man. And like Amaya, Matt Shaw K'd 10% of the time. This lineup is as good as any in Major League Baseball right now.
Yep.
Let's jump to Jose Alvarado here, which was the big headline of the weekend. Jose Alvarado, the closer for the Philadelphia Phillies, was suspended 80 games for testing positive for a for performance enhancing substance. It was exogenous testosterone. I read that the whole idea was a weight loss drug. Like
Mm-hmm.
he tested positive for a weight loss drug, and Jose Alvarado, obviously a humongous human being. It's an 80-game suspension. He's ineligible for postseason play as well. That's the bigger caveat to
Yep.
me.
Yep.
Jurickson Profar being ineligible for the postseason, Jose Alvarado being ineligible for the postseason. You know, tough blow for the Phillies, but I love that that is part of the discipline for PED use. 80 games in the regular season, it sucks. Like, don't get it twisted. It sucks for the Philadelphia Phillies to lose their closer for 80 games, but you got to make this guy feel it. And
Mm-hmm.
he's feeling it with no postseason play. The Phillies might have lost their closer for a World Series run. And this, we talked about it all offseason long. Their opportunity, maybe their final push all the chips forward, let's go win a World Series season. And here they are trying to operate without their closer. Do I think that they have other closer caliber guys in that bullpen? Yes. I think Orion Kerkering can handle the ninth of a postseason game. That guy's flat out gross. I think Strom can get outs in the ninth inning of a World Series game. But Alvarado was your surefire thing. He was going to come in, big boy, throwing 100 from the left side, and now you just don't have him. It's a really shitty deal for the Philadelphia Phillies.
And Kirkering's been struggling this year, and I still believe in him. I know you do too, and he's gonna settle in. But this places more importance on Kirkering to kick it in gear, I think, and even more importance on Jordan Romano to be a valuable piece. And not only that, to probably close games out for them as he has now started to do. The timing of Jordan Romano at least bouncing back, I think, is absolutely huge. And hopefully he can build on this, but it becomes even more important now where you have 8 consecutive scoreless from Romano, and he just shut the door yesterday with striking out the side.
Yeah.
But he needs to be this guy now. He needs to be the good Jordan Romano for the Phillies bullpen to have a shot. Strom is great. He can close out some games too, especially if it's a lefty heavy situation there. But I mean, I think what we're going to see here is Dave Dombrowski, who always loves to add to the bullpen, is now going to have to do that, and probably have to make a pretty aggressive move once you get to the deadline. This bullpen's still good enough to be fine through the regular season
Yeah.
and get you to the deadline. But I think for the postseason, to trust these guys at leverage, like Romano is still too much of a wild card. Kerkering needs to get it going. Like, who do you really, really, really trust in this bullpen right now? It's Strom, and even at points last year in the postseason, if I remember correctly, Strom was a little bit shaky. Um, they're going to probably need to go get some guys. And the good news is that the farm system has gotten stronger from within with the performance of some of their players.
Yeah.
That they've had some guys play well, but I'd imagine that you're going to see an aggressive Dombrowski to address that bullpen.
Can I give you the name? Brian Abreu in Houston. That's the name I want.
That makes a lot of sense
Brian
because I do think
Abreu,
Houston's going to trim those guys.
yeah, 28 years old. He's got one more year of team control. It's his third year of arbitration next year. And Brian Abreu at this point, 20 innings, 3 earned runs. He's K'd 26, and opponents are hitting a buck 73 against him. That little blip we saw at the beginning of last year, it's done. Brian Abreu is the best setup guy in baseball, or at least one of the best setup guys in baseball. He hasn't had closer opportunities. I feel like he is a deadline acquisition away from being a closer for a team that is contending for a World Series. And Brian Abreu in Philadelphia makes a lot of sense to me.
The Astros are going to have to start playing worse, though, which they might. But all of a sudden, they're playing decent ball again, and they're 2.5 behind the Mariners, and could nestle their way into the playoffs there. But I think with the Rangers starting to, I think look like they're just going to throw the shit out of the ball. Jack Leiter, by the way, taking a no hitter almost into the eighth inning was awesome to see. He got screwed, and the reliever came in, gave up a 3-run bomb, but it was awesome to see that. DeGrom looking like DeGrom last time out.
Yeah.
I do think the Astros ultimately fade, and you could even say Hader could be a guy that they shop around potentially.
It could
And I
be.
could see the Phillies being willing to take that on.
It might just be a little too expensive for
Yeah.
them. I'm just thinking Abreu making 3.5 this year and another
Yeah.
year of
I mean,
arbitration that's probably at 5. Brian Abreu, like a 1-for-1 swap with a guy like Justin Crawford. How do the Astros say no to that? They have center
no,
field
they
issues out
can't.
the wazoo.
They can't. I don't even know if the Phillies would
Do
want to
that?
move a Crawford at this point. But they've got like Arun Escobar. Like they've
Yeah,
got some guys
sure.
that have been performing really well that they can make that happen. But yeah, I think the Phillies now all of a sudden have it's very clear that they're going to have to be very aggressive. I think to
Yeah.
go get you need an arm that's not just good and not just a hot reliever this year,
Yeah.
a proven leverage arm because I don't really trust. They have good arms, but I need someone I can trust a little bit. I feel like.
Yeah. Last thing on Jose Alvarado. I never feel bad for anyone that gets popped for a PED suspension. I haven't read anything valid enough to confirm that it was a weight loss drug that he was taking. It sucks if he got popped for a weight loss drug. Obviously, like you root for guys to shed it, but at the end of the day, you have to know the PED list. You have to know banned substance.
It's not that hard.
Yeah, and like it was what exogenous testosterone. Like
Yeah.
it was a testosterone booster. You have to
If
know
you see a
that you're taking.
testosterone
Yeah,
booster,
you
you should run it
can't
by
do that.
everybody.
Run it
You
by
run it by
literally
everybody.
everyone. Anything you take, like there are 10 people sitting in there in the clubhouse that can help you figure out if it's okay to take that supplement. So I
That's why I just
really,
don't buy it.
yeah, I don't buy it. I really don't feel bad, but it sucks if he was actually looking to do that. But I feel like it's more crying Viagra, like Ryan Braun, or like crying ringworm, like Fernando Tatis. I hope that it's not the case. But again, like I haven't seen anything credible enough to validate any sort of excuse from him because his agency declined to comment.
Yeah. Yeah. That usually that usually is all you need to see or hear. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's disappointing. I know Phillies fans got to be pretty frustrated with that, especially because I think the one area that they were probably a little bit nervous about was that bullpen. But and then you start to wonder what does Alvarado look like when he comes back from that? Because of course he throws fuel. So just how's the velo going to look? What's
Yeah.
everything? Is he going to be affected at all? Probably not, but you never know. It's always in the back of your head.
Speaking of which, have you checked on Aurelvis Martinez recently?
I mean, when I was checking in, he was not doing well.
Dude, take a peek at his numbers right now. Aurelvis Martinez, who got popped for a testosterone booster last year in the minor leagues for Toronto. Aurelvis Martinez is playing horribly in
Yeah.
AAA right now with Buffalo. So,
His 90th percentile exit velocity is down 3 miles per hour from last
really,
year.
I wonder why. That
Yeah.
sucks. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Other big story of the weekend, Brandon Hyde was relieved of his duties as manager of the Baltimore Orioles. There's a lot of different avenues that you can go with this. Tony Mansolino was the interim manager. He was the third base coach. I thought Mark DeRosa made a really good point on MLB Network on Monday. Brian Kenny said something along the lines of maybe you want that outside voice, and D-Row interrupted him and said, "What outside voice? They just elevated the third base coach." That's the thing that jumped out to me. Brandon Hyde, managers are scapegoats. And Brandon
Hmm.
Hyde is a scapegoat for a roster that was just not good enough to win a World Series. This pitching staff is terrible. Their rotation is the second worst starter ERA in Major League Baseball. They're one of
Yeah.
two with an ERA over 6 as a starting rotation. Colorado's over 7, but they're Colorado. Like Colorado's the kid you feel bad for. Baltimore,
Yeah.
they should have been in contention for an American League East title. I feel horrible for Brandon Hyde. This guy endured 110 losses in a
Yep.
season. He endured 108 in a different season. And he sees an 100-win team. He sees a team last year that finishes 20 games over 500. And now, like, okay, he can't last 40 games into this season. Derek Shelton, I understand the idea of just growing tired with that because it's been years. We're 2 years removed from this guy being the American League Manager of the Year. They clearly loved him in that clubhouse. That vibe was really good. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't this year. And I made the point on Monday's show, and we had a good conversation in Discord about it with a listener too. I mean, you said they're cooked on Twitter. I saw that. They're
Yeah.
playing like a team that's cooked. I
Yeah.
said, I've never seen a team that had AL East division title aspirations pack it in on May 16th. And that's what happened this weekend, getting swept by Washington at home.
Yep.
It just sucks. I feel terrible for Brandon Hyde. I feel bad for the young stars on that team. But at the end of the day, they didn't do enough at all.
Yep.
And ultimately, this kind of falls on Mike Elias.
Do you see what Jim Palmer said?
No.
Jim Palmer said that Elias didn't get Hyde fired. His players did.
I mean, the players have been underwhelming so far this year, but what happens when Charlie Morton has an 8 ERA and you pay that guy $15 million? Like, is that
That's
I understand that it's Charlie Morton's fault, but in terms of player identification, again, D-Row made a good point on MLB Network. He said, "Would you rather have Tyler O'Neill for 49 million or Nick Pivetta for 55?"
yeah, exactly. That's the other thing too. It's like the spots that they'd picked to spend money just didn't really make any sense. The decisions to make trades, like you prospect hug, and then when you finally do make a trade, it's Stowers and Norby for Trevor Rogers. And this was the full quote. The O's are playing disheartening baseball, wrote Palmer, so they make a change. Tony Mansolino is a really good baseball man, but so was Brendan Hyde. I will not forget the joy of how the O's played during the 101 and 91 win seasons the last 2 years. This year is about change, injuries, different team chemistry, and the roster not performing to their capabilities. Elias didn't get Hyde fired, his players did. That almost contradicts itself by
Yes,
what he said there.
totally.
It's about a roster not playing well enough that Elias put together. So Elias didn't get him fired. It was the players. That doesn't make any sense. It 100% is Mike Elias who got them fired because it's Mike Elias who gave him a worse hand. And it's Mike Elias who now needs to show something. He can't make a trade at this point. He can't sign somebody at this point. You got to show some sort of indication to deflect the blame. And that's scapegoating. There's no coach / manager in any sport, I think, that gets scapegoated more than a baseball manager because I think their responsibilities get overvalued sometimes.
Yes.
And then that results in them usually getting fired. Where it's like, okay, he should be turning this thing around. He should be doing this. It's up to the players to go out there and play. I think at the end of the day, you're orchestrating, team chemistry, things like that too. But that also happens with the players from within too. And I know you can speak to that being involved in a big league clubhouse more than you ever have. Like at the end of the day, it's up to the players if they want to get along with each other and they want to enjoy playing with each other and things like that. A manager can only do so much.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you're telling me a guy that had a team that looked like they were really enjoying playing with each other. It was a good group that performed well for 2 years, just lost it, just lost the touch, lost the whole team, lost the core, or did a team that came up short for 2 straight years look at their roster, show up to spring training and say, we're worse than last year, and got off to a slow start and said, shit, we're worse than we were last year. How are we going to get out of this thing? And then it just mounted and mounted and mounted. That ain't on the manager to me.
So if you were to make a little pie chart of whose fault it is for each of these guys, I really don't know where Brandon Hyde factors in. Let's start with the hitters. Whose fault is it that Adley Rutschman has a 641 OPS and he's hitting 209 in 43 games? I think it's 100% Adley. Okay.
Yeah, Adley.
Let's keep going. Heston Kjerstad, 40 games, he's hitting 211 with a 612 OPS. I think it's about 80% Kjerstad and 20% Elias for not finding a big league spot for him previously. And I think he's thrust it into a fire with a Cowser injury. But I'd say 80% Kjerstad. Mountcastle, 43 games at a 605 OPS. I think that's 100% Mountcastle. Mountcastle's on this team, but also Elias could have traded him last year. Tyler O'Neill in 24 games hitting a buck 88 with a 605 OPS and being hurt. I'd say that's 30% Tyler O'Neill and 70% Mike Elias for not understanding that this is who this guy is, and you paid him $49 million.
Do you remember in the offseason I said that's going to be I think potentially the most dangerous signing. And then when we were buyer selling hot starts, I sold Tyler O'Neill, and it's been worse than I thought it would be. But like, yeah, that's where you spend your money. And I understand like Santander looks like that might have been a bad player to keep too, potentially financially, but it seemed like they were never going to do that anyways. Why is that where you throw your money? Especially when you have ownership saying, oh, we opened up the pocketbooks, like he can spend, but that's not the spot you spend. That one's on Elias.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's go to the hill, right? Cade Povich, a 5.23 ERA and 8 starts, like it's on Povich. Dean Kramer, a 5.36 and 9 starts, it's on Kramer. But then Charlie Morton, 41 innings at a 7.68 ERA. He's 0-7, and I hardly ever bring up record. That one's like 50% on Charlie Morton, 50% on Mike Elias because they paid a 41-year-old man north of $10 million. And then the one that is 100% on Mike Elias, Kyle Gibson's 453 batting average against. 453 in 12 and a third, 29 hits across 4 starts from Kyle Gibson. That was your go?
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Also, Morton, like, yeah, the last 15 starts of the year, he had a 4.52 ERA last year. That's, I guess, fine. That's still not a guy I'm jumping out of my seat to give $13 million to. He gave up 16 home runs in his final 15 starts, and opponents had an 831 OPS. You imagine how he was going to age another year. How is that going to ultimately go? And it hasn't gone great. And then, yeah, with Kyle Gibson, I could get signing one of them to be your innings eater. To go both is kind of shocking to just expect anything there. And then also, it's another guy that if you look at his final 15 starts, he had a 4.83 last year in his final 15 starts. Like, he wasn't good either. And in that span, 13 homers, he struck out 74 in 82 innings, and opponents slash 275, 342, 463. And that's a guy that's going from 36 years old to 37 years old. I just don't get it. I don't get what they were expecting there. I'll say I'm sorry on Shigano. He cooked on that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, man, those are the 3 big ones you make. I don't think Eflin stinking is his fault. Like, no. He's been hurt, and I actually liked that acquisition.
But again, like, note whose name hasn't come up yet. Like, Brandon Hyde hasn't come up with any of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, what's Hyde supposed to do?
What's he supposed to do?
G-Rod being hurt, that definitely stinks, but you had to know that there was some liability there. And also, like, he was dealing with that early before March. The Westberg and Kauser thing is very unfortunate because I think that would have helped this lineup, but the lineup ain't the problem. And that's why ultimately I think it's not Hyde's fault at all, or at least mostly not his fault, because
and we don't know the clubhouse intricacies. We don't know the clubhouse dynamic.
There could be some things we don't know. And that's why it made me think, like, okay, if Palmer's saying that, he may know the clubhouse.
Maybe he lost the clubhouse. Yeah.
Maybe. But I think the clubhouse may have checked out to a degree because they felt like they were starting with a 5-run disadvantage every single game. So that's the other side of it too. Like, if you're going out there and you just know that your pitcher's probably going to give up 5, 6, 7, how do you just stay locked in and dialed and confident that you can hang around and win ball games? You're at a starting pitching disadvantage pretty much every start
from the jump.
All 5. But what other team can say that besides the Rockies? That every single day,
that's it,
they're at a starting pitching disadvantage.
That's it. And again, they're the only 2 teams in Major League Baseball with a starter ERA over 6. Like, the Rockies are over 7, and the Orioles are over 6. Yeah. It's crazy. And the point that I made on the Monday show, they're 29th in baseball in starter ERA, and Kobe Mayo is in his 3rd year in AAA.
Yeah.
He can get you a 1. He can get you at least a 2.
I don't even probably now his value's never been lower because of the way that they've handled that. In the same way that the way that they handled Stowers, they sold at the lowest value of him.
And Kjerstad, they're going to sell at the lowest value of Kjerstad too,
if they even do. And that's the other question. And I don't want to just keep going all day and just making Orioles fans turn us off. But it's a fascinating conversation because this was one of the more exciting cores, and it still is, but it's such a ridiculously talented core that we're talking about. Wow, they could be players for the next decade plus.
Yeah.
So when we look back at this, it's going to be like this could be one of the most incredible fumbles of all time if he's not able to get it right going into next year. But on top of that, like, what do you do from here? Because you have all of these controllable position players that you're not going to trade. You have a good core. Do you, this is such a weird spot that you could actually spend your way out of this problem this offseason by just signing pitchers
Yeah.
and doing it that way. But I don't know what you do because like you can't trade a Mayo at this point because you're kind of in a weird spot where you shouldn't be selling assets. So in
Yeah.
terms of assets with control. So I have no idea other than like a Cedric Mullins. I don't know who you and O'Hearn. I don't really know what you do.
I,
So
yeah. I think you
it's
just
almost just like
trim.
a bridge year. You're just sitting there and doing nothing.
I think you take this opportunity, and I don't like saying trim the fat, but I think you take this opportunity to just trim anybody and make space for the young kids that need extended run in the major leagues.
Yeah.
So Mountcastle, see ya. O'Hearn, see ya. And I understand Mountcastle's value has never been lower. Get out of it. Like,
Get
just
out of
get
it.
out of it. Move it. You're at the point of no return in this 2025 season. So even guys that are going to get you one DSL guy that had a 600 OPS last year, do it. Like, get
Yeah.
out of it. Mountcastle, see ya. O'Hearn, see ya. Mullins, thank you for all the memories. I'll catch you later. Like, you have to get out of this and you have to make way for the young guard, and you need 30 to 40 games of Samuel Basayo under your
More.
belt going into 26.
More.
Yeah.
But I agree. But
You
more.
need 80 games of Kobe Mayo under your belt. You need 100 games of Kobe Mayo under your belt going into 2026. Like, Enrique Bradfield should debut by the end of
Yeah.
2025. They need to
Because
clear the runway.
you're 100% correct. You cannot let this season be lost and not get any more clarity on your prospects. You can't. I get it. How it's very common for a competitive team for their prospects that are blocked to go stale a little bit in AAA, but that's not the case this year. You can't compound the issue by not getting your prospect reps. That's the one silver lining here. You can get Basayo those reps. You can get Mayo those reps. Get that clarity. See exactly what you've got there, and then keep building into next year. They can right this ship in one offseason. It's a
Totally.
really good young core. Jackson Holiday is playing really well and looks like he's finally settling in. Gunnar Henderson is still Gunnar freaking Henderson. I still think Adway is going to be better. Kowser's been out, and Kowser's a clear stud. Like they can very much right the ship. It is a controllable and incredibly talented offensive core, but they need clarity on some of these young guys so they know exactly how they're going to address things this offseason because there's going to be a lot that needs to be addressed on the pitching side.
Yep. All right. We are going to go rapid fire through some guys that are back up in the big leagues or up in the big leagues for the very first time. Before that, quick break. Okay, best debut of them all this weekend belonged to Mick Abel of the Philadelphia Phillies. Abel outdueled Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens, his first career complete game, it was a 1-0 loss, and I said it was 2018 DeGrom type stuff. Mick Abel was awesome. Abel started guns blazing, 5 punch-outs across his first 2 innings. Final line on Abel, 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, no walks, and 9 Ks. Now, backhand to the face of Pittsburgh Pirates fans, it pretty much was an extension of his AAA numbers, and Mick Abel was awesome in AAA. 8 starts at a 2.53 ERA and 46 in the third innings. He follows it up with 6 scoreless against a glorified AAA lineup in the Pirates in his major league debut, but it's still his major league debut. This guy could not find the strike zone at points last year and had an ERA over 6, and he was surgical in his big league debut.
It's really cool because we talked about on the call up as a guy that just looked different immediately to start this year, and just seeing him build on that and build on that and build on that. It's a reminder as well. These talented pitching prospects, you got to be patient, give him some time. We just talked about Jack Leiter shoving and doing what he's doing. Now you're seeing Abel doing what he's doing as well. How about even a Casey Mize? But what's really fun about this is Abel is as fun to watch when he is filling up the zone is just about any pitcher in the minor leagues. 6'5", 200-pound righty. He was a good athlete with an assortment of stuff. But last year the command wasn't good, but also the velo was down a tick. So the velo is back up a tick this year, and the command's better. He has to just be feeling better and flowing on the mound really well. But what stands out the most to me is there was a lot of pitches last year that just had no shot, that were just completely non-competitive. And then in this MLB debut, I like to look at like the percentage of pitches a guy will throw that have less than a 5% strike probability, which essentially just it's a giveaway pitch. It's a non-competitive pitch. He only had one. He only had one in his big league debut.
Wow.
The average pitcher usually has a couple in an outing.
3 or 4 in a
Uh,
given start.
yeah, like that just have no shot, right? And that says a lot to me. But I think the biggest thing with him is just the execution. You know, the four seamer's great with carry at the top, and now it's in the upper 90s. He's got the sinker that works well off of it. The breaking balls have always been gross. Specifically, you know, the slider he trusts more, but the curveball's a banger. Like he's got a crazy arsenal, and the changeup's no slouch either. But last year, it was kind of just I hope I have one of those things working for me. And a lot of starts had none,
Yeah.
and the velo was down. He averaged 94.8 last year over the course of the season on the fastball. And I know he was probably a little hot because he was juiced in in his big league debut,
Yeah.
but he's averaging 96 miles per hour flat this year. And that's a big difference.
100% a big difference. He's comfortable. I don't know what the plan is. This feels like a 1 or 2 off deal. You've got, starters throwing out of the bullpen for Philadelphia as well. It is just really fun to have the conversation about Abel when we thought that conversation, number one, was gone, and number two was entirely around Andrew Painter this offseason. And Painter looks great so far in the minor leagues. But it was always, okay, Phillies are going to be really good in the rotation until Painter joins them, and then they're great. Now you got Abel, and I'm not saying that he's like a mainstay in this rotation, but if you have that as your AAA depth and he can come back up, if Mick Abel makes 10 starts for the Philadelphia Phillies, I'm doing backflips if I'm Dave Dombrowski right now.
Oh yeah. Well, and what do you do though? Because you're talking about Painter, who just last time out, 5 innings, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks in AAA against a pretty good Syracuse lineup, and again, that's his second AAA start, and he jumped straight from rehab in LA straight to AAA, and he had never pitched above AA, so
Yeah.
that was his AAA debut, coming off of a rehab appearance there. Assuming that he's looking sharp too, and everybody in the rotation is healthy. I mean, we're looking at a rotation right now that is Wheeler, Sanchez, Luzardo, Suarez, Abel, and then you're going to get Nola back.
Yeah.
How do you go? It's a great problem to have, and usually these things settle themselves because guys get hurt naturally.
Yeah.
But what do you do? Like if Abel's throwing well, Painter can't just leapfrog him because he has a higher prospect ranking.
No. So here's what I think happens. Um, I think, okay, Nola comes back. What happens there? Taiwan's already in the bullpen. I think Abel goes to AAA.
Yep.
Okay. So he gets optioned. And then you've got Painter coming up. You can create a situation where you have 6. Ranger Suarez is making 8.8 this year. He's in his final year of control. I could see Suarez on the way out. That's the one that jumps out to me, where that would be that surprising trade. Oh, the Phillies are so good. Why are they in a position to trade Ranger Suarez? Because they already have 2 lefties in Luzardo and Sanchez. And Ranger may be the one that's finicky enough. He may not factor into their postseason 4, and they view him as an opportunity to go get a center fielder or go get a closer.
Yeah. It depending on how Nola's doing too, because I don't want to sling any accusations, but this this was a spooky IL stint for Aaron
For
Nola.
an ankle sprain?
Yeah, it was a little spooky. There was some phantom IL aspect to that a little bit, but I don't know. Regardless, see how he comes back because that's still a guy that you're gonna have as a key cog in the rotation. But if he's not throwing well, you're gonna want some vets that you can lean on. But at the same time, you would have Wheeler, Sanchez, and Luzardo still as your three-headed monster with the 2 young guys. So they could easily do that if they wanted to pull off a trade like a 3-team trade, not dip into the prospect capital as much, and be able to add to the bullpen or other aspects of the team. It wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world. I could see that, but great problem to have that I think you
Great
welcome,
problem.
especially after the frustrating news with Jose Alvarado. So I think there's a world though where they may not want to thrust Painter into these like super high leverage starts at the end of the season where he's playing in the postseason and adrenaline up. Like they may take it a little bit slower. Who knows? So I I think they're gonna probably give Abel as many starts as they can just before Nola gets back, so that just they know what they've got here, and then kind of adjust from there. But I do think they're going to kind of be throwing both these guys in AAA, and whether Painter looks like he can tap up into all of that ceiling sooner, or Abel just looks like he's hotter right now,
Yeah.
they might be competing for that sixth spot the rest of the way.
For real. Zebby Matthews did not throw as well as Mick Abel did, but
No.
Zebby was showcasing stuff that looked better than what was in the big leagues at the end of last year. And Zebby was doing that pretty much the entirety of the AAA season to this point. He went 3 innings plus, 5 hits, 4 runs. He walked 3. Zebby Matthews in the minor leagues, 7 starts, 32 and two-thirds innings at a 1.93 ERA. He struck out 38 and walked 9. Zebby is, and we brought this up, what, week and a half, 2 weeks ago? He's pitching like a better version of Zebby Matthews than the one we saw make his major league debut last year. It was encouraging through the front 2 innings, and then it got discouraging for Zebby Matthews. I like to think that he can be a mainstay in this Twins rotation, but the bar is just so high
Yeah.
for that Twins rotation right now, and he may just be better served in St. Paul for a month or two.
It's tough because he's definitely too good for St. Paul.
Yeah,
And so that's where it's like, okay, well, how do we go about this? The thing with him is he's throwing hard. He averages 97 with the fastball. The shape's not
which is
great. And
crazy. For a guy that didn't walk anyone 50 innings into last year,
yeah,
97 is crazy.
crazy. But it's straight. So the location very much matters. And he was in the zone with 70% of his fastballs, and he threw 61% fastballs. So that in this big league, the first start of the season this year, that's the hard part for me is as a hitter, that's got to be as easy of a game plan as you got. Okay, it's 60% usage on an upper 90s fastball that I'm going to see pretty well out of his hand. And then the pitch that he throws the second most is a 92-mile-an-hour cutter. So it's hard and harder. And there's an 80% chance I'm seeing 92 plus. I'm selling out for velo. And I think that's where there needs to be a little bit more importance placed on the secondary stuff and the slider, which he was throwing a lot more in AAA, and then for whatever reason, kind of threw that to the wayside in this big league debut. But he also struggled to locate it, so that was probably that reason. So that's where I think it's interesting is juggling the not being in the zone too much with his fastball because it can get hit, and then also just not throwing it 60% of the time. We're talking about a guy that in AAA this year, 42% fastball usage. And then in his first start of the big league season for him, he goes up to 61%.
Yeah.
That's not how he's going to succeed.
No, at all. And I am curious to see kind of how he tinkers with that. He's going to tinker in AAA. Their starting pitching depth, like, is what I wanted Cincinnati to be going into last year. If they had Phillips and Lauder, like, there's a lot of stuff cooking in the right way for Cincinnati starting pitching wise, and I think Minnesota is getting there. Like right now,
Oh yeah.
their AAA rotation is Festa, SWR, Marco Raya, Travis Adams, Andrew Morris, and
Mm-hmm.
Zebby's going to join them again.
Yeah.
They've got one of the better AAA rotations in AAA baseball, following up one of the better big league rotations in the
Yeah.
game right now.
And that's how you can start to buy in a little bit more, even as a skeptic, that the pitching's going to keep them in it. I
Still
like
out.
Festa. Refuse. I like Festa more than Zebby, but I still think Zebby's an excellent, as he gets more comfortable, an excellent 4 or 5 starter, at least a
Yeah.
great 5. But I think he
Yeah.
could be a good 4. So you have that as well as an innings eater option for you that you know is not going to walk the world or anything like that is great. And then Paddock's starting to throw the ball all right, which is
Yeah.
very helpful. But I think Festa could absolutely be an asset for them, and I'm hoping he gets more runway. But it just kind of seems like they're just whenever they need to start, it's like they're taking turns, or whoever is lines up with the rotation,
Yeah.
based on the AAA rotation, and it's just all right. Festa works for you. You're on 5 days rest. All right, Zebby works for you, which is great. But
Cool.
I would like to see maybe a little continuity. But I also understand it's hard to do when you've got all these arms.
Yeah, and it's up to somebody to step up. Like Listen, if Zebby went six scoreless, he would get the next start. Promise. You know what I mean?
So, what does Festa need to do? Is my question because I'll give you the last five starts. These are including three at the big league level. He has gone 24 and two thirds innings of a 1.82 ERA, 30% strikeout rate, 5% walk rate.
That
Yeah, but
and
Paddock started throwing
Zebby to
well.
fail, and Zebby
Yeah.
just failed a little bit. So
So now do you flip flop them and just
I
keep
think
doing
so.
that? Probably.
I think so. With the way they're playing right now, I think like they gotta ride hot hands wherever they possibly can.
Oh, they also called up your king, Carson McCusker.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you real quick on the 411 here. In two sentences, give me the summary of Carson McCusker as a baseball player.
Gigantic human who may run into some crazy home runs and will definitely strike out.
I just said Matt Wallner all over again.
I mean, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, but is that not who he is? He probably doesn't grade out as good a defender as Wallner, but Wallner's
No
like an
way.
average defender. McCusker's going to be terrible, but Carson McCusker is 6'8", 250 pounds, and he hits like 118-mile-an-hour homers, but
Hmm.
he's going to punch out all the time. I also don't think he's that disciplined. Too. I think he just chases a lot.
No, he swings. He
He swings
swings.
a lot, but you know what? He's terrifying, and this is going to be a funny guy to watch.
It's kind of like Miguel Sano if he was a white power forward.
Cool.
Um, yeah.
Like
So let's see what
Mehmet
happens.
Okur puts on a baseball uniform.
Shout out the Twins, by the way, for cooking an indie ball between McCusker and Peyton Eels.
Yeah.
Just finding some guys in indie ball. I love seeing it.
Non-drafted free agents in indie ball, man.
Yeah.
God bless. This guy was not an indie ball. Dalton Rushing was a first-round pick. Rushing made his debut. He caught Clayton freaking Kershaw in Kershaw's season debut, which was crazy. But there was a moment in that contest, and obviously, if you guys have been listening to this show, you know all about Dalton Rushing. There was a moment in that game on Saturday night that Kershaw threw, and you tweeted it out. Rushing singing along to Mr. Rager, his walk-up song, and then just lacing an 112-mile-an-hour double. That was so cold. Just
Yep.
watching that, I was like, this guy is built to be a Dodger, and he's built to be a really good Dodger for a really long time.
You have to have that level of moxie if you're going to be a rookie on one of the greatest teams in the history of the game, right? I mean, if you're going to be able to uh, feel like you belong, to keep up with the pace, to I imagine it's got to be really hard. You get up from AAA and you look around that clubhouse, man. It's like, all right, I just want to help them win, but the game can look fast for the young guys at points, and we've seen that. And for the guys that are just built for it, I think they can make that easier transition, and especially for a catcher to do it, it is amazing. But yeah, one, Mr. Rager is an all-time great song,
It's a
but
great
great
walk-up song.
walk-up song too, because it's a great choice. Some guys, a lot of people think, oh, like I want a hype walk-up song. A lot of guys like something that kind of brings their heart rate down, and that's exactly what that was. And I think that's why he sings it. He does it a lot because it's like relaxing. It kind of gets him into a calm state, and he gets in there. But yeah, just in a big spot like that, down a run, and you're just singing along to your walk-up song. You step in there and you hit a ball 112. Also in that same game, he popped a 169 down to second base to throw out a runner. Um,
Jeez.
yeah. So that's my point. And that's why he is a top 10 prospect in this game. He can hit the living shit out of the ball. He elevates consistently. He has a 10% chase rate, and he pops 1.7s to second base. He has been one of the better like run preventers in minor league baseball the last couple of years. I feel like it's so funny because everyone always talks about how, oh, like all these Dodgers prospects get overhyped and this and that. And I get it. Like there have been some overhyped Dodgers prospects that have been very disappointing. But you say this like, oh, all these Dodger prospects get overhyped. Yet somehow Dalton Rushing has become overlooked.
Yeah.
And he won't be now. But in that whole conversation, somehow Dalton Rushing became a guy that people were underselling. He hits the ball hard. He gives you good ABs. He's going to be comfortable off the bench, which we talked about. And that's why I like him in that role too, because he's going to see a lot of pitches at the very least. And the guy can freaking catch.
Yeah.
He can catch.
You can catch, man. And I'm really curious to see how it all shakes out between Will Smith and Rushing, especially when there's no space at DH with Otani, like that Otani guy there. I wonder what the timeshare actually looks like, but credit the Dodgers for making some moves like this. Like Rushing is up. They DFA Austin Barnes, who I know was a fan favorite and I know was a great clubhouse guy. But at the end of the day, sometimes you got to put the thank you graphic out there to get a top 10 prospect in baseball up when he's ready to go. And sometimes you got to make the bench a little bit better. Kirby Yates on the IL. You select Lou Trevino. The move to clear up a 40-man spot was DFAing Chris Taylor and ultimately releasing him. That's what the Dodgers have to do. Like, you looked at that bench was really not good. Also, one more thing on Rushing before I forget. Joe Davis was telling a story about talking to Rushing around the batting cage during BP. And Davis kind of asked him about his ability to lay off pitches. It was like, hey, you don't chase. Why are you so disciplined? And Rushing just answers and goes, I don't like swinging at balls. And that's all he said. And you use the word moxie. That's moxie. Like looking Joe Davis in the eye 2 games into your major league career and saying, "I don't like swinging at balls." That's awesome.
That is great.
That's
I,
great.
and
But
he just sees the ball that well, man.
he does. But going back to the Taylor thing, like if there was one weakness to poke in the LA Dodgers going into the year, that bench was for vibes only. Like it was not good. Kike Hernandez started slowly. Kike's been awesome since then, but like Miguel Rojas, he's a vibes guy. Chris Taylor, vibes guy. Austin Barnes, vibes guy. They're all north of 30, north of 30. So like how do you get better? Well, they got more well-rounded by swapping Rushing in for Barnes, and sometimes you got to lift Chris Taylor off this team.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. Is it expensive? Yeah. Is he not a Dodger anymore and he had some great Dodger moments? Yeah. But the Dodgers are in the business of winning World Series, not preserving what happened 4 years ago.
And the upgrade that you have now with a Kim as well, kind of really filling that super utility role instead of Chris Taylor. I mean, it's a shame. He had a great career. Seems like an awesome guy, but he was an automatic out. Chris Taylor was, and now Kim is a guy that's faster, more of an
Dynamic.
asset, more of an asset on the base paths in general, giving you good at bats. He's not going to strike out as much, and I think ultimately he's a utility player, but he seems to be getting to that potential much more quickly than maybe we were expecting.
Yeah.
So that is an upgrade for them on that bench, no doubt about it. And credit to the Dodgers doing right by Taylor, knowing that they could carry him a little bit longer, and they got him real close to that 10-year service time. So they cut down the amount of time he needs to coach potentially to get to that 10 years. Because what
Yeah.
is it, like 3 days coaching is 1 day of service time, I think,
Something
for
like
something
that.
like that. But I think that was the only reason, was just to get him as close as humanly possible to 10-year service time, which, and also I'm sure because he's just a great guy in the clubhouse, but credit them for doing that. But yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers, who got swept by the Angels, said, hey, we're really good, but the Giants are 1 game behind us. The Padres are 1 game behind us. The D-backs are 4 games behind us. We
Yeah.
can't just punt roster spots because we have 4 Hall of Famers. And
Yeah.
I think that's what they realized.
I like he'll I think he'll be on a roster. Like why wouldn't the White Sox help him get to 10 years? I think they will. It's just there was the whole intricacies about the full no trade, right? The full no trade kicks in if you spend 5 year, 10 years with one team,
Yeah.
and it's the back five, and you get to 10
Someone
with
will
that team.
absolutely give him a shot.
Somebody's
Yeah.
going to give him a shot, and they're gonna help him get there.
But he's what? He's at 9.037. So I don't know how
He
much
needed like
longer.
100 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
It'll be
see.
interesting. I'm rooting for him.
Right before he reached 10 years of service time, I don't think it was. I don't think it was right before. I would consider right before like 10 days. I think
Yeah.
this is like 100. I think he needs
No, no,
100
it
days.
wasn't. You couldn't justify holding him any
You
longer.
couldn't justify
It
it,
was too
so
far off.
that's what you got. But no, man. Last thing for you, Jac Caglianone got the bump to AAA for the Royals, and Peter was very underwhelmed by my reaction to Caglianone going to AAA. I said, "We'll see what happens," and he was like, "That's it? That's all you got for me?" And the point I made was he sees the best level of execution on the pitcher's mound that he's ever seen. So let's see how it goes. And
Yeah, that's what
that
I'm
was all I had
very
to say.
fascinated by.
Yeah.
So this is the interesting thing with Cags. I was actually talking about this in the Discord. The the thing is, he hits the living crap out of the ball, right? We know that, and his feel to hit is better than you would expect for a guy in his power demographic. So that helps a lot. The one thing that is going to hold him back, as we've always said, is the approach. But the approach has gotten better this year. It's not good, but it's not egregiously bad. Instead of 40+% chase in college, it's 35% chase in, double A.
Yeah.
That said, if there's one thing that's going to restrict him from achieving that ceiling, it's going to be that chase rate. Hitting the ball that hard and having above average contact rates can allow you to get away with higher chase rates. But I don't think he's been in an environment that would fully expose that just yet.
Yeah.
And now he will, because the end zone contact rate's solid. He hits pitches outside of the zone well too. But there's going to be zones that I think AAA pitchers now, who are much craftier, are going to see with him and say, hey, if we get him to chase here, he's not going to be able to do as much damage. It's clear if you get him to chase away, he's still going to smack that ball 105, and he might even still leave the yard 110. But if you can maybe get him to chase at the top or chase inside, I don't know what that is necessarily yet. They will figure that out. And I think AAA will be the first test of like, can that chase rate get exploited a little bit? I don't think it fully will, but that is the thing to monitor here, because he was going to torch balls all the time in double A. And if anything, it might cause the approach to regress, because he's just going to hit everything and he's not going to be disincentivized to chase. Yeah. And he actually started chasing a little bit more again, because it probably felt like college all over again for the guy who had 1,000 OPS over his last 20 games.
Right.
Now in AAA, I almost hope he gets picked apart a little bit out of the gate, so he really locks in on that approach. Because if that chase rate is even just at 30%, he's going to be a monster.
And we'll see. That's what we got on today's Just Baseball show. No show tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday. I think that's Peter and Aram on Thursday. Anything else?
Blue Jays Top Prospects is live on the site for Jays fans out there to check that out. We'll be breaking that down on the call-up. And, just had a really fun conversation with Max Clark on the call-up as well. We'd love for you guys to check that out. Really insightful, dude. It was fun. Longest interview in call-up history.
It was an hour 10, right?
Yeah.
Holy hell.
I felt bad. I'm like, am I keeping you too long? He's like, no. All right. It's like, let's keep going.
So other option is sitting in a Midwest League hotel. So
that's what he said.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, no, this is better than whatever else I'd be doing. So I think you guys would really enjoy it. And I know he's as detailed as anybody in terms of breaking things down.
Love it. Every link you need is in the episode description. And we will talk to you guys on Thursday.